look, let's go into it because in order to go through 2020, go to 2024, which we're not necessarily there. We were there by date, but not by season just yet. We do have to look back at what was. We're going to go ahead and look at the 2023 draft. We want to look at our best picks, our worst picks, where we feel who went, who was better, who was worse, this and that. Real quick, I'm going to go through the picks that we got. In the first round, we got Emmanuel Forbes with the 16th pick. With the second round, we got Quan Martin. The third round, we got Ricky Stromberg. The fourth round, we got Braden Daniels. The fifth round, we got KJ Henry. The sixth round, we got Chris Rodriguez. And at the end, the seventh round, we got Andre Jones Jr. Will, I'm going to come to you first. You see the picks. I know you were excited about the first, and I wasn't as excited.
Yeah.
Kind of leveled off on a lot of these things. What was your best pick? What was your favorite pick of last year's draft?
This might surprise you. You might not like this. I think the best player of the draft, and he's going to show something us next year, is Quan Martin.
Ooh.
Wow. He's been playing a lot more lately with the injuries to Percy Butler, to golly, how am I forgetting his name? The safety
Forrest?
from Cincinnati. Derek Forrest. Yeah. I kept saying, I almost said DeShays or Everett, man. Like, what am I doing? Derek Forrest and then Percy Butler, he's been forced into action. And I certainly think that he struggled in preseason and he struggled at the beginning of the season. He has not had the impact this season that we were hoping for, but he was very much he's one of the few players that when we drafted him, that the scouts didn't go, good player, didn't need to grab him there, type thing. And we talked about how we also knew they liked Brian Branch out of Alabama that's with the Lions. And basically it was these two guys is who they liked because they're versatile. So I think he's starting to play better towards the end of this season. He's playing in the nickel. He's playing a safety a little bit. Yes. And so he's not necessarily the problems that we're having out there. And so I think like by all means at the time of the draft, was that the position we needed? That's for another comment. That's a good debate. But I think when it all looks back at who we selected, he may be the most talented player on the team. And I'll be excited to see what he does in his sophomore season.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I love that. Very surprised by that because up until a couple weeks ago, you were screaming at this guy.
I have been. He's been a disappointment as times too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm gonna go farther down the list, but at a position where if you know me, you know what I love. I love my running backs, and I got to be honest, man. I thought Chris Rodriguez was just going to battle for that 3 spot, potentially take the 3 spot and just come in there and help out whenever necessary. But with injuries and with just the lack of kind of good play, they brought him in there. And towards the end of the season, he's actually been a legitimate force. Like he's led a couple games in rushing. Some of those games have been blowouts and, for whatever reason, he's been in there. But still, it's really something to build on. And we always talk about how Mayhew and all of them, we're a run team. If we do end up going back to the Washington of old, we had guys like this. We remember, obviously, Riggo. You think about Gerald Riggs. Even Biner, even though he was a little bit more nimble, was still a bruising running back.
Stephen Davis.
You know what I mean? Stephen, great point. Exactly. These guys are all dominant backs, and that's what we were known for a long time. Even you can go back to Alfred Morris, who was a good running back.
1 year. Yes.
1 year. But these guys all were bruising backs, and it was something that Washington was known for. And bringing Chris Rodriguez in here, for me, is what I thought Brian Robinson was going to be. Now, I'm not saying Brian Robinson is any less of a bruiser, but I think Rodriguez is kind of more built for that goal line, that 3rd and 1, that type of thing. Whereas Robinson, I think, has impressed me more also with his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, with his nimbleness, with his ability to create and get into open space. So I love, especially if we're going to move on from Gibson, we don't know what's going to happen with that, but I would love Rodriguez to be our short down, guy that comes in, somebody that you could potentially put in there for a fullback and can also be a lead blocker because he has that kind of ability. So that's where I stand. I love Rodriguez. I love him coming out of Kentucky, and I'm glad we got him.
That's a great pick, man. I actually had him as my honorable mention. So yeah, no, he's been impressive when he's gotten his chances, and I wish he would have gotten some more opportunities now towards the end of the season. But I think he got nicked up, and so he's not really getting that chance because it would have been great to see him.
Oh yeah, Nate, what's going on? I said I can't really say who's disappointed because some of the guys are still developing in their position.
They're all still developing, man. Our rookie class sucks.
Right.
You're
so
right.
Nate,
Let
us know who you do think though would be your favorite out of all those guys that were picked from last year. Who is your favorite pick? We just gave ours, and now also give us who is your worst pick. I'm going to go first on this one. I don't know that we can go any different from this. I think it's the fourth pick, Braden Daniels. Obviously, the injury, I know the injury hurt him and everything, but when he came in, it just seemed like project was stamped on him. Yes. And it even if he would have gotten in, I don't know that it would have made a huge difference. So he, for me, was the most lackluster. I look on this list. Forbes got in, Quan got in, Ricky Stromberg got some action, KJ, Rodriguez, Jones, all those guys. Braden Daniels was the biggest bust. And I hate to say this because of the injury, but he wasn't really looking that dominant before the injury. So I hate it because it's kind of like Big Phil where it's, like with Darius Mathis, where it's like, oh, well, you can't really judge his play because he's been hurt all year. But at the same time, you still have expectations. You still kind of want him in there. And then you go back and obviously hindsight's 2020. It's like, what could we have done with that pick? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right.
Oh, no. You're not on the show yet. So we ain't going to answer that one, right?
I'm ready to answer that one.
Are you? I know you're ready to answer.
Tell her when she comes on, she can ask her that question.
Oh, yeah. Definitely bring that one up. What do you think?
I had the same one as you, man. And you want to know why he's the worst pick? I had to go back and Google our draft selection and go, was it Braden or was it Braylon? What was his name?
Yep.
And because he's the type of guy we needed a couple of years ago, so that now this year he can contribute. But I mean, they faked that injury to put him on injured reserve to save him because he was not ready. And that is, he by far. I would almost say honorable mention worst pick right now is Emmanuel Forbes. And
wow,
Nathan is correct. He's in the wrong scheme, and so that's why I didn't pick it. But you also can't sit here and say he's done anything good as a rookie and shows any promise right now. Now, hopefully whoever comes in and takes over this defense will either do one of two things. Either say we're going to play zone to work with him, or we're going to ship him out already and just move on from him. I'd just cut bait if you're going to. But I'm with you. Braden Daniels. He's a terrible pick. I actually have a third one. I've got a most disappointing. So let me go just in case someone comes up on you. I'm going to say my most disappointing is my favorite pick of the draft, Ricky Stromberg.
Really? Yeah.
And the reason why, because he got hurt halfway through the season and he's been out the whole time. And the reason why I'm most disappointed is I knew he would be a project. They said he wasn't going to come in and be a day one starter, but by the end of this season, he probably could have been playing. And more importantly now, we know we have to fix the offensive line, and we don't know how he factors in, because he hasn't been given a chance. He's been out half the season. Ron mentioned that they thought he could come in and play guard by this point, that he was kind of impressing there. But now you don't know. So you're going into next year. Is he a center? Is he a guard? Is he a starting center? Is he a backup? Do we need to draft a center? Do we need to sign a free agency? It's just too much of an unknown. I thought going into next season, it would be like, we're going to turn this over to him. He is our starting center. The way, Philadelphia drafted Cam Jurgens to take over for Jason Kelce as soon as he retires. I thought we were making that type of progression, and it didn't happen. And so I'm really disappointed in that, because I really thought that was a good pick.
Well, you have to have somebody that's capable that can start ahead of him before you have somebody for him to trade behind.
That's true. That's very true.
Kind of needed him immediately. I'm going to go 2 picks later than that. KJ Henry. Yeah. You know how excited I got, when he got drafted. Obviously, there was that video of him and his dad was a huge Washington fan, and it was, excitement. And you had talked to me about, he was going to be, a potential project, and he's got potential, but maybe not ready yet. But that was I was excited about that because at the beginning of the season we still had our edge rushers, we still had Montez and Chase, and we had big expectations for them to do things. And so I thought he would have been great to come in when they were a little tired, somebody to work with. You got Smith Williams and those type of guys, and you could throw him into that rotation, another body. He's a Clemson, so under Dabo, great, pedigree and everything. And it just didn't come to fruition. And then, like you said, with the injuries, with the struggles we had on defense, you just thought he was going to have a chance to do it. And for all we know, he did have a chance to get in there, but he just really didn't show anything. He couldn't do the edge. He really couldn't push him back in linebacker. And again, this might be on coaching. Maybe we see like some of our guys, they didn't know, or it looked like they didn't know how to run these guys or where to put them in the right scheme and whatnot. But at the same time, maybe it was on me, but I got my hopes up. I got very excited about him and what he could potentially be, even if it was just a fill in. And he really laid an egg for me. So, yeah.
You're right. It's a lot of like trying to figure out again with him, where does he play in? He's been starting the last, bunch of games and doesn't really do a whole lot.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.